Welcome to Jurassic Park.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Why don't we just wait here for a little while?
Do you want to know what it is?
There's no knowing where you might be swept off to.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
Shepherds we shall be, for thee, my Lord, for thee.
I don't know. I'm making this up as I go.
There's a special rug in hell reserved for people who likes good scotch.
He peed on my rug!
He peed on the dude's rug.
Do your worst.
Final report of the commercial starship Nostromo.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Welcome, foolish mortals, to the Haunted Mansion. I am your host, your ghost host. Kindly step all the way inside, please. Make room for everyone. There's no turning back now. Not that ghost, Andrew. Come on.
There's a ghost in my room.
When the cryptors creep and the tombstones sway. Yeah, did you ever run to your parents' room, some late Halloween Eve, and you were just like, there's a ghost in my room? Your dad's like, from Star Wars?
From Rebels? Have you been watching Rebels again?
As seen in Star Wars Rebels?
Actually, I would run to my parents' room because I thought Santa Claus lived in my closet and he was going to eat me.
Gosh. You're thinking of Krampus. Krampus is what you're looking for.
Krampus.
Welcome to your feature presentation. I am your host, Heath Fall. The ghost holding fool is Andrew McKay.
That's what they called me in high school.
Ghost holding fool. I can see you running around the
Fool
halls.
of a joke. That kid never puts that Lego set down, does he? No.
That's one of those jokes that I would never get tired of if he was just like running around. It's like, careful, there's a ghost. It's like, yeah, I get it. That's what the ship's called. It's not. Look out, there's a ghost. It's one of my favorite jokes on the Family Guy Star Wars. I think it's something dark side. The second one, and is they have the guy who tries to sell them ice on Hoth, and he's like,
"Oh yeah,
wait, Han, you'll need this. What? A bag of ice?" It's like, yes, I get it. It's cold. Wait, ice? Why would I want? Oh. So good. The guy on a frozen planet tries to sell ice. Classic humor. All right. Well, we're just having fun. We're rolling
we're
today.
Having a blast.
Yeah, because this is Halloween. Such a fun time for movies, genres. We're both big horror fans, I'd say. Like, I think we have such a love of that genre. And I think I would say this too. I think horror is a genre that is for movie lovers. You can still be a movie lover and not be in this, but I feel like I've never seen someone who likes horror that doesn't just love doing movie marathons, sitting down, watching through a series. I feel like they're fans. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, you have to be really into movies in general and like okay with kind of sitting through some stuff you might not like to be a horror fan. Like they turn your stomach, but it's so fun.
Yeah, it's so good. Yeah, and I think to get real deep all of a sudden, I've also heard too, if you struggle with anxiety, horror movies are a great outlet because they kind of help you to go through those emotions and like release them.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh, really? I thought you were joking. I've heard the exact opposite.
Interesting.
Like
It
not
makes you
not
more
from
anxious.
like actual not from like professionals, but I assumed the opposite.
Ooh.
Because I like horror movies because it is so different from my everyday life. Like I don't experience anxiety and like cold sweats, and I don't get scared. And so I like to watch horror movies because that's when I can experience those emotions.
Interesting. And so you watch them because like you're like, I'm bummed. I haven't been anxious. I need to feel some anxiety today.
Literally, yeah. Like, I'm not stressed about my job. I need to like watch a slasher.
And I, as an extremely anxious person, need to have that relief of my emotions.
Wow.
So horror movies are only for two people. If you're anxious or you're not anxious.
There you go.
All right, let's kick it off here. So we're going to talk a bunch of really cool things all October, but today is top 5 slasher movies. So we each have our own list of slasher movies, but first we have to talk about movies coming out this weekend. Andrew, what do you got?
So movies coming out this weekend. We have White Bird, Monster Summer, and Joker, Folly Ado. First up, White Bird.
White bird, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Making a check. Instead of Free Bird, White Bird. Come on.
Oh, I was like, genuinely, I've never heard of that song.
Heath has lost
that's
it.
crazy.
He's crazy.
Free Bird, Free Bird. Julian has struggled to belong ever since he was expelled from his former school for his treatment of Augie Pullman. To transform his life, Julian's grandmother, Helen Mirren, finally reveals her own story of courage. During her youth in Nazi-occupied France, a boy shelters her from mortal danger. I realize now
Foolish mortal.
how... I was going to say, I realize now making a joke about Helen Mirren when she is in this story is a survivor of the Nazi-occupied France. It's a little insensitive.
Helen Mirren, what an idiot. Anyways, she survives this terrible ordeal.
Anyways, together they find first love in a stunning and magical world of their own creation. Boo.
She's a good person. Get her out of here.
Jeez.
Where's my anxiety now, Mom?
It does look like a very touching movie. We just talked about how much we love historical dramas last episode. So hopefully you can take a joke. It looks great. It looks pretty good. What do you think, Heath?
Yeah, no, I was like, this made me emotional. It just looks kind of like a heartfelt kind of drama. Not something that I'm necessarily drawn to go see in the theaters specifically, but if that's your cup of tea. We were doing some terrible Helen Mirren
Cup of tea.
impressions before this. That was probably the best one that both of us have done yet, because they were terrible. And we felt like they were kind of broaching into Dobby territory. Like, I'm Helen Mirren and Master has given Dobby a suck.
Master has given Helen Mirren a suck.
Love her.
Anyway, so speaking of British people, Mel Gibson.
We got Benjamin Martin. Look what he done to the French. That's where I go.
So, next movie coming out this weekend is Monster Summer. A mysterious force disrupts Noah and his friends' summer fun. They team up with a retired police detective to embark on a monstrous adventure to save their island. Starring Mel Gibson.
This one was interesting because Mel Gibson does give me like hesitation. I'm like, what is this? But it did feel like a Sandlot kind of Goonies It type thing.
Stranger Things.
Yeah. And it was like, which I love those movies, but I'm hesitant just because of Mel Gibson. And I like, honestly, I mean, his personal life aside, I love his movies like The Patriot, and things like that. But I don't know. I just like, I was like, I'd love to see some ratings on this before I go see it.
Right.
I'd love to see kind of like, is it what I think it is? But like the trailer, it makes it look cool.
Yeah, I agree. Like, is this going to be like in a good way inspired from the success of Stranger Things, from the vibe of E.T. and those types of movies? Or like, what was that Steven Spielberg movie? 8, Super 8, like that kind of stuff? Or is it going to be like a bad trope of those things? I don't know.
Yeah.
But I just think it's so funny that they could think like, oh, like if you watch the trailer, they're like, Old Man Crothers or whatever his name is lives in that house. There's probably bodies buried in the backyard. And he comes out and it's Mel Gibson. And you're like, that is an objectively handsome man. Why is he the town like crank?
Right.
What is happening? Why do you think he's a murderer?
Yeah.
So I find those kind of silly.
Yeah. It's like, but then at the same time, it's Mel Gibson. So like,
It's like, oh, you're a handsome man. Oh wait, you're Mel Gibson.
That's funny. This is going to tie into the next movie we're going to talk about. Speaking of French, I have got a random French story to tell you. A couple days ago, I was wearing my Monty Python shirt. Okay, and it's got the Black Knight on it, and he's missing an arm. and it says,
Sure.
"'Tis but a scratch," right? And it's a very gruesome shirt, and I'm like, this is kind of a weird shirt because it's like there's like blood coming out of it. It's a really funny T-shirt, but I'm like, it's not a T-shirt I can just wear to whatever. So, I was noticing I was getting a lot of looks for wearing this shirt, but then a lot of people like it if they know the movie. They're like, oh my gosh! So I got a few compliments on the shirt. This one lady at the checkout goes, "Oh, is that from Monty Python?" I'm like, yeah, it's a good movie. I love it. And she's like, it's so funny. And it's even better if you don't like French people. I was like, what? I was like, I was speechless. I was like, I wasn't mean, but I just kind of like grabbed my stuff and I was like, I'm so confused. Is Monty Python anti-French? I mean, I know they make some French jokes, like, even like the guy who is French, like that they come up to his wall, I will taunt you a second time. But I was like, that movie's not anti-French. And it's also like, oh, I didn't realize there were people that hated French people. I was like, that's such a, what do you mean?
Oh, man. That's another level. Like, oh, yeah, that is a good movie. But also how it aligns with my prejudice against this whole group of people is tight.
Yeah. I mean, it did kind of feel like, hey, we're racist together, aren't we? I'm like, I don't think so.
That's not what this shirt's about. It's about dismemberment.
I mean, I've been to France, they make good fries. So funny. So it's like, and I was like,
that was a good story.
Yeah, it was weird. It was weird. So speaking of French, the next movie is
Joker, Folie à Deux.
Beautiful.
I probably mispronounced that. Don't come after me.
Hey, French people.
Failed.
Chill.
Hey, chill.
We're friends.
Chill.
I like you.
Yeah.
The cash register, clerk, whatever.
No.
She's in her own world, okay?
Deb hates you. Go get her.
Her name was probably Deb.
Yeah. Joker. Failed comedian, as we are all familiar with, most likely, Arthur Fleck, meets the love of his life, Harley Quinn, while incarcerated at Arkham State Hospital. So cute. Upon his release, the two of them embark on a doomed romantic misadventure. I'm curious about a lot of things about this movie. To be honest, I haven't heard good things so far. And I'm wondering, his release from the hospital, like, what could possibly happen for him to get, like, cleared to be released? So it's got to be some sort of devious release plan with Harley Quinn. Like, they fall in love and she gets him out somehow. Yeah. But I would love... I know that this is pretty unlikely and maybe impossible. I would love Joaquin Phoenix to be Rob Pat's Joker. But I know Barry Keoghan is going to be the Joker for Rob Pat. And that is going to be great as well. But Joaquin Phoenix is just a very specific, very good Joker, I think.
Yeah. It's interesting we're in the superhero era where there's multiple, like DC has multiple characters being played by different people in different universes. Like, it's just kind of odd.
It's because they don't have a plan. Yeah. Hopefully James Gunn can kind of bring it all together.
Yeah. It's weird because, we're getting multiple Batman movies at the same time. Like, they overlap, but they're like, what world is this, But I was going to say, to be honest, I'm not a huge... This is going to be crazy because I feel like every person who probably listens to this podcast loves the Joker, the character. Yeah. I'm just not obsessed. Like, I've never been like a DC guy.
Oh, just the character on its own.
Joker, Batman.
Got it.
I like them. I mean, Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy is amazing. I just don't love them. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like, it's not going to get me there. The first Joker, though.
Yep.
Incredible movie.
Yeah.
So.
Outstanding.
I'm ready for this one. I'm like, let's go.
Yeah. I agree. I'm excited. So do you think Joker probably would get our tickets this weekend? I'm going to say yes.
Yeah. I'll say yes, too.
Yeah.
Go see the Joker.
Well, speaking of Jokers...
You got two Jokers right here.
Kill people.
Oh.
I went the murder route.
The fun friends having a podcast route.
F is for fire that burns all the towns down.
What is that?
SpongeBob.
I'm not a.
F is for fire that burns the town down. U is for uranium bombs. N is for no survivors. It's Plankton. He sings a song.
I was never a huge SpongeBob person.
Oh, you got a big SpongeBob guy.
Do you have a tattoo?
I should. That should be my first tattoo. That's just SpongeBob.
You don't have a tattoo?
No, I don't have
didn't
any
realize
tattoos.
that.
Yeah, I want so badly to go to heaven that I've held off.
I want my body to be pure when the Lord sees me, takes me home.
Yeah. When he resurrects my body, I want to be without blemish. So, some of us don't feel that way.
I mean, I've got a
Anyway.
tattoo. I'll be the first to admit it.
I know you do. But it's a Tolkien tattoo, so that's probably
What are
holy.
you talking about?
But Tolkien.
It is a Tolkien tattoo.
Helen Mirren.
Dobby. All right.
Anyway.
Let's do this.
Slashers. Best slashers. Top 5, in fact, for both of us.
So we each have a list of 5. We're doing the classic Gorley method. We're going from 5 to 1. If it's higher, if the movie we mention is higher on someone else's list, we have to wait till it's that higher standpoint. Andrew, would you like to go first? Do the honors.
I would. Number 5, American Psycho
Ooh.
by Mary Herron.
I've never seen it.
Directed by Mary Herron. You've never seen American Psycho? Dude, Christian Bale. Wow, that's such a good one. Yeah, it's like it's very unique. I qualify it as a slasher because Christian Bale is a serial killer. Currently, it's actually part of that movie is a very popular meme template of like, let's see Richardson's card. Oh my God. Look at that eggshell coloring. Look at that raised font. And so I think that's really funny. But it's just about a complete narcissist at some point turned serial killer. Like when you encounter him for the first time, he's very far into like, this is how I kill people and I need to do it. Like I love it and I need to do it. And Christian Bale taking on that role is very unique. And I think he brings something very collected and then explosive to the role. That he is everything put together. Every strand of hair is in place until it's time. And man, he lets loose. It's so cool. It's such a good movie.
That's cool. That's got my ticket this weekend.
Hey, there you go. Re-release. It'll be 24 years. It is 24 years
cool.
old already. I know. All right, what's your number 5?
All right, my number 5. I'd be shocked if this was on your list because this is just like a random one for me personally. But number 5 for me, Freddy versus Jason.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So this one is, I feel like I just have so much enjoyment because this is kind of like a celebration of both the Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th series. And it's got one of the, I think it had for at least a while, if not maybe still, it has the highest body count of any slasher movies.
Really?
It's just Freddy and Jason interact and the plot is okay, but it's just so fun to see them on screen. And it's such a, like I said, just like a celebration of those two series. And it's like, you want to see these two people fight. And that's just so fun. It just, love it.
That is really great. I know it is dearly beloved among the Friday the 13th audience.
Especially, I love movie series because, like I said before, like I feel like horror is such a fun one to be like, I'm going to watch all of the Halloween movies or Friday the 13th, and you can just go through like 12 movies or something. And it's fun when the movies get lighter and faster, like as you're going on.
It's like, hey, you know what we're about.
Yeah,
Let's start.
it's just
killing people.
it's just like they get to know themselves so well, and it's like, we know why you're here. Let's just get right to it. You know, it's fun.
Yeah, that's a good point. I like that.
All right, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is X by Ty
Not on my
West.
list. So rock and roll.
Oh, cool. Okay. X is the first installment of what is now a trilogy starring Mia Goth. Shout out Mia Goth. Big fan. Mia, if you're listening, you can come out.
We'll have you on. We'll chat.
We'll host you. We'll host you. Starring Mia Goth. Ty West directs, and he also directs the other two. So all three movies, he's been director. It's such a great, unique, I will say, adult. Obviously, these are all horror movies, so they're adult in their own right. But this kind of follows late 70s, early, I think it's it's definitely late 70s. Adult filmmakers that find like this old ranch on their way to like a film site, and this old lady that's there is the slasher for this movie, and she just kills everybody. Her and her husband, like, and honestly, I say that without a spoiler warning because that is like maybe half of what makes that movie good. And then there are two other movies. There's a prequel with that old lady, Pearl, played by Mia Goth as well. And then Maxine, who is the main character in X. So they're just so fun. I feel like it's a very fresh take that respects the classics. Like there's a lot of Texas Chainsaw
definitely
inspiration from X. So it's just great. If you're a horror fan, you got to watch it.
Yeah, that is definitely a movie. I think that it does know where it comes from. Is that a way to say that?
Yeah. It knows the shoulders that it stands on.
Yeah. And it celebrates it, but it does feel fresh and new. There's like new elements, and I don't want to spoil too much, but yeah, that's a great movie as well. Or I think it is as well.
Yeah. All right, your number 4, Heath.
Number 4, Friday the 13th, Part 2.
It's on my list. It's higher.
Nice.
Whoa.
Okay, I'm so excited to say that. I'm surprised that you have that on your list. That's really cool. Okay. So then you'll go to
4.
your...
I'll do my 3.
Yep.
Okay.
What is it?
Number 3 for me is The Strangers by Brian Bertino.
I have not
Have you
seen it.
this? Liv Tyler. Whoa, buddy.
Oh, yes. I have seen that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I forget
So
that's the name of it.
Yes. Yeah. So Liv Tyler and Scott Speedman come home fighting from a wedding. And the premise of the movie is that there are a group of people wearing these like burlap sacks or like scary masks that want to kill them just because they're home. Like there's a point in the trailer, if you watch the trailer, it's from 2008, where they're like, why are you doing this? Why are you trying to kill us? And they're like, you were home. And that is so chilling. Oh, so would it maybe, some people would disqualify it from being a slasher because there are only 2 potential victims in this movie, but I think it still qualifies because there's lots of slashing. Many slashes. So also Liv Tyler's name in this movie is Kristen McKay, so spelled the same as my last name.
Oh, beautiful.
Yep.
Are you related to the movie character?
I am. Yeah, that's it's me actually. Yeah.
You're Kristen McKay.
Yeah.
Yes, it is a great movie, and I feel like it's funny because this is a movie that starts getting into we have to explain why you can't use your cell phone, that bit.
Yeah. Oh,
you know?
absolutely.
And it's like, that's so interesting as a horror trope. They had to start doing that because it's a loophole. If you can ever say, why don't you just call the police? You know, and in some of these classics, like we're going to talk about, there's no phone, there's no cell phone. That's not a thing. You know, it's very easy to explain that. But then, I mean, it is a classic trope, I guess, now that I say that, like, somehow everyone knows how to cut the power. Like, all these killers, you know?
Yeah, you always see, like, a knife or a pair of, like, gardening scissors just, like, cut one cord, and the whole house goes dark. You're like, what? Really?
I couldn't
one
do that
cord?
right now.
Yeah. Where is that? I don't know where that is.
But I like that movie as well, and just, it is definitely one of those movies where I would have loved to watch that movie where I didn't know that it was a horror movie. If you just sit someone down and is like, let's just watch this movie, it's good. And because they're trying to figure out, okay, like there's a relationship going on. They're dressed up. They must have gotten back from a wedding. Is this a fight? Have they been in a fight? Did they just, it's like, it's very intriguing story.
And then it turns so hard.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
But I think why it's so good, too, is that's all fueled. Like, their fight is involved in this movie. It's not just like, we had a fight and then killers came. It's just like, that changes how you feel about the person. Like, are we breaking up? But should I still want to help you?
Yeah.
It's like very interesting. All right. My
Heath's number 3.
Number 3, Happy Death Day.
Oh, what movie is this? Tell me.
So, Happy Death Day, so good. Highly recommend. It's about this character that it's a Groundhog Day slasher version, basically. So she gets, it's a college sorority girl, and she gets killed at the end of the night, and then wakes up the next morning to start the same day over again. So
wow.
So it's like it's funny, it's amusing, and it's also just so like mystery center. Like she keeps having to figure out who killed her because it was like a masked killer, and she has to figure out. She's trying to figure out like who's killing her, and then she realizes like she wakes up healed, but not all the way. She realizes she starts having damage. Like her body is not taking the amount of damage that she would have taken if she actually got killed, obviously. But like,
interesting.
It's like, she's on a time limit to figure out who is killing her at the end of this day. So yeah, it's a super good movie.
Oh, I gotta watch that. That sounds really fun.
Day. It's so good. All right, what is your number 2?
Yeah, my number 2 is Friday the 13th, Part 2.
Tell us the tale. Start us off.
Yeah, so Steve Miner, 1981. This is my favorite Friday the 13th movie. And it was close between, it was like a 3-way tie almost. I think there's a 2-way tie for second place, which is the first one and Part 4.
Yeah.
Those are big contenders for me because I didn't like the 3D one. Sorry. That one was pretty bad. So Part 2 and Part 4 were Part 1, the first one, and Part 4 are close to each other. But Part 2 rises above because you actually get like a full movie that Jason is the killer. So that's just what I want,
Yeah.
Like, get mom out of the mix. I don't want mom in there.
I was going to say, I feel like
her killing people.
We'll say spoiler for Friday the 13th.
It's been
Part
40 years.
I know. I just feel the need to say that because I'm going to mega spoil it. So,
all right.
The first movie, spoiler alert, the mom is the killer. So that's the whole big thing, right? So Part 2 is the first time that Jason is the killer, which is the famous one that's the killer in the rest of the movies. I would agree. Part 3 is not good. It's Part 3D, and it is so gimmicky with 3D stuff. You could tell they were just like, what could we do with these 3D cameras? Like the whole girls like laying sun tanning herself, and then the guy like with a yo-yo. It's like, look, and then it comes right at the camera. I'm like, why? Why is this in here?
She's like, you idiot! Why would you yo-yo in front of my face? He's like, we just bought these 3D cameras. We got to use them.
We still got some film left. Yeah, it's interesting though because Part 3. I do like Friday the 13th. They're definitely one of my favorite slasher series. So he doesn't get the hockey mask, which is his iconic look, until the third one. So that is something that I give to Part 3. So we have
positive.
We have Baghead Jason in Part 2. He just has like a burlap sack over his head.
Baghead Jason. That's what they called you in high school, wasn't it?
Baghead Jason, which is weird. Because well, my name's Heath. You can't. It doesn't work. It's like, what's up, Baghead Jason? I'm like, I don't get the Jason part. I don't get it.
Who's that guy? No, that's Baghead Jason. You're like, my name is Heath. Stop it.
Can you at least call me Baghead Heath, please?
Yeah. Please.
No, I think Part 2 really does just kind of it's kind of the best of all those worlds, right? It's like early enough that it's a formula, but I think it is better than part one. And it's just kind of cool.
In a lot of ways.
Yeah. And it's hard because like the first one was the original Friday the 13th, but then I think 2 really started the formula that would carry it through to the remake. And whenever they remake, like the 2009 remake, or whatever, they remake part 2, really. We've never seen the mom take it again,
Truly. Yeah. That's a really good point. Yeah.
Okay.
But I feel like that's just because they've tapped into, okay, what are we about? Like, part 2 is good because people come back for a reason. They know what they want to see. The writers, directors, producers know that people want to come see, like, Jason. They're coming for a slasher movie, so let's not like hold back from that. So,
well, and Andrew, I know we've talked about on this podcast that I do suffer from Benjamin's Buttons disease.
You do, yeah.
So that but it's kind of sporadic and it jumps around. So I have been an old man. I'm very ancient, and I've been an old man for a long time, and been a young man for some of the time. And but so that being said, growing up in the '80s for the 14th time, it was so fun. Obviously, I'm joking, but it would have been so cool to be in the '80s. I don't understand what you're saying. It would have been so cool to be in the '80s. To have these movies like come out every year, like there was a time when they were producing them so fast. It's like every year it's like, let's go see the Friday the 13th movie like every summer. And now we're in the era of shows take so long. It's like,
dude, 3 years between a season of a show. Oh,
that's getting ridiculous.
So I'm not really sure if I'm getting what you're saying. I think what I hear you saying is that your experience growing up as a 40-year-old in the 80s was good because you had so many slasher movies coming out every year.
Yes.
Is that what you're telling me?
That's right.
Okay. And now, as a 27-year-old man for the last 9 months, you still feel the same?
Yes.
That's really good news. That's good to hear.
I feel like this joke makes no sense if you haven't heard any of our episodes. If this is your first episode, welcome.
Welcome.
Our running joke is that
Benjamin Buttons.
Yeah, I have Benjamin Buttons disease.
Yep.
All right, let's hear your
number 2.
My number 2. You're right. My number 2, one of the goats. I almost said the wrong one. My gosh, Halloween.
Oh, it's on my list. It's high.
Are you serious? Are you serious, Clark?
Yeah, dude. Are you serious,
Clark? Okay, then I can't talk about it. So, what is your number 2?
Number 1.
Wait, what did we talk? Oh, so then I go back to my number 1. Okay. So Halloween is your number 1, mine number 2. Let's talk about it.
Okay, go.
No, you. Just kidding. Yeah, Halloween. So I would say they say Black Christmas is technically the first slasher movie. Have you ever seen Black Christmas?
No.
It's a really good one. It's a sorority killer kind of thing during Christmas time, which is very interesting because I feel like you don't see a lot of slasher movies during Christmas time, but that is definitely one. It was 74, I believe, and Halloween is 78. So it has killer POV. It has, we don't know exactly what's going on. Girls just living their normal daily life kind of thing. So they would say probably, if you're going to say first slasher, that, but Halloween was very close, and I would say it is probably one of the best. Obviously, it's my number 2. I think it really does exemplify what slashers are. Wow. It's a movie, you've got a killer escape from a mental institution, stalks some babysitters, mayhem ensues. I mean, classic Halloween, obviously, but the classic holiday season movie, classic slasher, so good.
I can't believe I haven't seen
Black Christmas.
Black Christmas. Wow, it has Margot Kidder in it she's Lois Lane.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Anyway, we were talking not about Black Christmas, Halloween.
But now you talk about it because I just talked about it. You weren't listening to anything I said. Were you listening to the dude's story? You're like a little child that wanders into the room, wants to know what's going on. I am talking about drawing a line in the sand, dude. He peed on your rug. Thank you. Thank you.
What a tie-in. Oh, man. He peed on the dude's rug.
Andrew, you're out of your element. Tell us about why you love Halloween.
Oh, man. It's one of the most... So this Halloween is right up there with Sleepy Hollow, which I mentioned last episode as well, for the Halloween vibes. I think Sleepy Hollow and Halloween is pretty self-explanatory why those feel like October to me. I love Halloween for the low-budget aspect of it. The fact that it did so well, like it performed so well because they cared so much that they couldn't just ride the back of like what it would be a big budget for the time, whatever that would be. I love that John Carpenter was propelled into a very successful career from this movie. And I just kind of hold slashers to the standard of Halloween. I just watched, I rewatched the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And I felt like I was really just comparing it to Halloween. Like, I was like, oh, Leatherface isn't Michael Myers. This isn't as cool. This isn't as, like, creepy. Texas TCM was very unsettling. But Halloween gives you the unsettling, the anxiety, and the gore payoff. You know?
And I think, to me...
It's just a whole package.
Yeah, definitely. It's the complete package. I think, for me, Halloween movies, they really have to have the right feel. And I think Halloween has such a good feel to it. It feels like fall. It feels like... Which is crazy, because they did it in California. So, like, they literally shipped in, like, dead leaves to blow down the road, which is crazy. But it feels like that season. You know, it has such cool vibes. You know, I talk about how much I love The Thing, and they actually watched the original Thing in this movie. Like, that's one of the ones they're watching. And they're just like watching scary movies, eating popcorn. I'm like, did you film me in Andrew's house? You know, come on. Like, that's what you want to do on Halloween, right? Like, okay, movie marathons, snacks, let's go. It's perfect. Yeah, what a cool character, too, in Michael Myers. Just like this imposing, giant man with a mask, you know? And for those of you who don't know, like, they used a William Shatner from Star Trek mask, messed up his hair and bleached it white, you know? Which is, like, crazy. And, like, yep, that's good enough, because that's where the budget was at. Such an iconic look. I'd say Jason might be a bit more recognizable just because of how, like, with the hockey mask, you know, and the machete, but... Man, Michael Myers is pretty much up there as well, and great movies.
Yeah, the POV that you mentioned from Black Christmas is very interesting because I was under the impression, like just from my own experience, that Halloween kind of pioneered that like killer POV thing because it happens a ton now. Even if the murders don't happen in a killer's POV, it's super common for like the audience to learn that the main character is being watched by using a POV of someone else. Like, you don't even need to know who that character is, who is doing the watching, but just to go like next to a tree and you hear some breathing and then you go over, you're like, oh, they're getting watched. Like, it's so creepy and it's such a good tool. So that's fun. I didn't know that Black Christmas was.
Yeah, it's a good one. Check it out. All right. My number one. You ready?
Drum roll.
Scream.
Nice. That was so close to my
Scream.
list.
Yeah, I was going to say a lot of these, like hearing your list, I was like, oh, that was so close for me as well. Scream, I feel like is such a fun 90s movie. Once again, it's a movie where they celebrate other movies. You know, they have like Randy works in a movie store, which if any movie they walk into like a Blockbuster, like, my heart. I'm just like, that was the best place ever when you're a kid. Like, it's like, man, my kids will never know what it feels like to walk in a Blockbuster. You know, it's just like
The smell, the carpet.
It was fun because I think they kind of made Blockbusters, like movie stores in general, like kind of feel like a movie theater. Like almost if you walked out afterwards, you know, and the carpet, when you said that, I was like, oh yeah, they had the crazy designs on the carpet, but just walls of movies,
Like disco carpet
and covers. And like you could just pick a movie based on the artwork and reading the back description. Like that seems so ancient now. But again, since I've been around for thousands of years, I've seen this come.
Yeah, that's right.
We've actually, I'm sorry to break this news to you, but we've actually developed movies before. And, you know, when we've lost so much technology over the millions and millions of years, so movies are coming back again. They've been around for a long, long time. But
so how many iterations of Blockbuster have you seen?
Well, back in my original day, they were called mammoth walks because you had to walk your mammoth. I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that.
Wow. Hey, Heath, that was a good one, buddy.
They call them Mammoth Way because the Mammoth Way was the best way to watch a movie.
And you know, you can always tell that society is in a good spot when the medium for entertainment is VHS.
Yeah, strangely, every time.
And before that, society is garbage. After that, also
have you
garbage.
reached
That's a sweet spot.
VHS technology? That's the question, right?
Yeah. You got to stay there.
But yeah, so I think Scream is one of those cool movies where like it's kind of hard to watch other. Well, like for instance, my wife is not a big horror fan, not a big slasher fan, and I wanted to show her some. And you can't really start with Scream because it really talks about all these other horror movies. And it actually spoils a lot of other horror movies. So if you haven't seen Halloween or Friday the 13th and you're like, I want to see those and not get spoiled, it's not a great place to start. But it's a fun movie. And I just think it's so like, I just like the mystery again of like who is the killer is there. And there's an element of suspense, and it's also really funny in parts, and just like, it's a classic.
So cool. I love that. What a good answer.
Well, thank you.
Wow. So I have a Halloween question for you.
Yeah.
Not the movie.
Oh. Boys and girls of every age, would you like to see something great?
Wow. Do you have... Wow. That was cool. Do you have a Halloween costume this year? Or do you have a costume on the ready at all times or anything of the sort?
Yes, I have a character this year. No, I don't have a character ready to go at all times.
Really? What's your character this year? What are you doing?
I forgot. I've been a couple characters now. So my family, you know, I grew up pretty conservative. So my parents didn't believe in Halloween. So we weren't allowed to participate in Halloween. We did hand out candy, so we weren't terrible. But
whoa.
So I've never gotten to dress up as a kid and stuff. So we were one Halloween, I remember. So when we announced that we were pregnant with our second, Emma went as Prego spaghetti sauce.
Yeah,
that was kind of her way to announce that. And Lucy was a pot of noodles. Like spaghetti noodle. It was so fun. And I was the chef with like a little mixer thing, so that was fine. Yeah. But I should post a picture of Lucy, but she was so cute. Just like this barrel costume, and her head was like noodles and meatball. It was so funny. But yeah, actually I have a costume this year, but I'm gonna not tell you what it is because it'll be a surprise. But I have a feeling you asked me this for a reason.
Yeah. Well, I just asked because we're in the Halloween season. Okay. I did finish.
He's reaching to grab a sword.
I did finish my Aragorn costume.
He's holding Anduril, Flame of the West, forged from the shards of Narsil. Yes. Looks great. So you're fully ready to go with that character.
I'm fully ready to go. I feel like my hair maybe is a bit long, but people will forgive me. And I think I have all the pieces, and it's come together, and I'm very excited.
Nice. Are you going?
Very, very excited.
What version of Aragorn are you going as? Is this? So you're doing?
I think that's a great question.
He's hanging the sword for our audio listeners, because it's close to him. He doesn't want to. He doesn't want to fall off during recording. That'd be a sad way to go. Would I post the video?
Look how pretty that sword is. Yeah. It's a non-specific Aragorn. He's probably close to the Fellowship, but I think as the years progress with this costume, because I'm going to keep all of the elements, they're going to be on deck. Mm-hmm. As I progress through the years, I'll probably switch one thing out for another. It is definitely not movie accurate, that's for sure. I think my cloak is green. So I'm going for more of a ranger look, but maybe the cloak will change next year. I don't know. But I have all the pieces that I need.
Nice.
Maybe the colors will change. So I don't know.
So you got a hood? Are you wearing a hood?
Yeah. Yep.
So
I have a green hood.
You're probably going for Hunt for Gollum, Aragorn.
Ooh, that's what I'll say.
I'll
say I'm the Hunt for
Gollum version. Because I was going to say, I think the only difference between Fellowship and Helm's Deep is he does get a different shirt. He goes from a blue shirt to a red shirt.
Yeah, absolutely. I almost did the red shirt, but I certainly couldn't. I can't do chainmail this year.
Yeah, that's fair.
Actual Helm's Deep battle would be a cool costume.
Are you doing Greaves? Are you doing the Boromir Greaves?
No, I think that's a next year thing too.
Because I was going to say you could do so with Andúril. You got to be in Return of the King. Technically, if you want to follow it, I was like,
I know. Oh man,
you could do Paths of the Dead.
So I have to be Return of the King.
Aragorn.
That would be my safest bet.
You have Andúril. Can you tell?
Yeah,
you like Lord of the Rings. You could do Andúril,
but it's before the Battle of Pelennor Fields.
Before King Aragorn. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Okay.
Beautiful.
Well, that's my costume.
Did we decide what we're doing for next episode? I don't think we did. Should we do it on
We
pod?
did. No,
we did?
We decided.
What are we doing for next week?
You don't remember?
No.
Next week, best, worst horror movies.
Yes.
Hey, we're going to talk. We'll bring a list, both of us, of our favorite terrible horror movies.
Yeah.
We'll talk why. We'll argue a little, maybe. But it'll be a really fun time.
Yeah, it's going to be tough because Alien's on my list. So it's like, that movie
Shut
sucks.
up.
That movie sucks. It's terrible. I'm going to tell you why it sucks next week. Just kidding.
Try me. It's just you being quiet for 2 minutes. Here are all the faults of Alien.
I am all the faults. I don't even understand that.
No, here are.
Oh, what?
Let me list all of the faults of Alien.
I'm silent because there are no faults. Got it.
Exactly. Sorry. Wow. Hey, subscribe if you got the joke and Heath didn't. Jeez.
All right. Well, take us home.
Shall I take us?
I forgot. We didn't tell the "I love you" story, but we'll save that again because we're past time.
Oh,
so
okay. All right. We will. Okay. Next week. Best worst horror, and Heath will tell an I love you story about me.
I will.
Terrific. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. If you're on YouTube, we have full video shows on YouTube. You can get our podcast anywhere you get podcasts. You can follow us on Instagram at Your Feature Presentation. As always, thank you for listening. We love this time to share with you. Go see a movie.
Go see a movie.